And it seemed like the one of them I used a while ago didn't want to copy, didn't want to work, so we'll just try another one on this and maybe send this over to Wabash, because that's where it came from. I have a copy right here in front of me of the Marion Chronicle for Friday, March the 9th, 1979, speaking about history talks in Wabash. Now, I don't know who this here George Dingley is, but anyway, I think he's doing a wonderful job in making tape recordings of the oral history. I see in the same thing right here down towards the bottom one column at the left, he had a conversation with Tom Christine, then the archivist of the Indiana State Library. And I know Tom. Actually, it is during the sesquicentennial of the state of our state of Indiana. I sent him some material to be copied for the sesquicentennial of our beautiful state. And I know him now, and he is I believe he's has quite a lot to do in the State Historical Society or the State Library at the present time. I know Tom is a wonderful person. He was connected with the Lewis Library at Vincennes, Indiana. My daughter-in-law, Donna Beeson, is secretary. And Tom has left there and back to Indianapolis, but Donna Beeson, that's Bob's wife, is still the secretary in the Lewis Library at Vincennes University. But then when this here George Dingley speaks about Wabash, well, he may not know it. I know he doesn't know it, because anyway, but I know I first saw the light of day in Wabash. I have a twin brother, Claude Stewart Beeson, and I am Cecil Everette Beeson, who was born August 19th, 1905, Wabash, Indiana. We were twin sons of William Henry Beeson and Jennie Jenks Beeson. And there, of course, we never knew our grandparents, at least I remember of them, and they may have died there in Wabash or before or soon after we were born, but I don't remember ever seeing them. One of them I remember seeing down there is Uncle Jimmy Sherwood. I remember him because he came up to the house and seems so tall and stately, the old gentleman. So that is the way it was in Wabash. We were actually named after Cecil and Claude Sherwood, cousins to my mom. And I, of course, I never knew them either. I never knew those Sherwoods. But our great-grandfather, Reverend William Sherwood, was a local minister of the Methodist Church down in southern Indiana, especially around Franklin County, and maybe possibly over in some part of Rush County, perhaps even. And his wife, Reverend William Sherwood, his wife, the granddaughter of William Higgins, who was a Revolutionary War soldier, and of course William Higgins is buried there at McKendree Church Graveyard in Franklin County. It's somewhere not too far from Metamora and Blooming Grove, in between on the road in between those two towns. But back to Wabash, Indiana, we had some wonderful times in Wabash, because we soon, when we were little boys, I remember Halley's Comet, for instance, and then seeing that and such a sight it was, and also a lot of people was consternation, because they thought the world was coming to an end, but it didn't. It was still going on. And then also remember the early motorcycles. Seemed like we still remember the chug of those one-cylinder motorcycles went over the hill country roads nearby where we lived. My aunts, that's my mom's sisters, you understand, Grace, Daisy, and Emma Jenks, lived at 47 North Thorn Street, Wabash, and just right near the Wabash Railroad. Actually, the Wabash Railroad just right across the hollow down from the yard from me. And then I do like to think about the Wabash, because that's where we lived. Then in 1911, we came to Hartford City. My dad was interested in the paper mills and machinist and engineer and mechanic and so forth, and he came to Hartford City to work in paper mills here because of Amos Strome came here, and he knew about the situation here and invited Dad to come over, and we did move to Hartford City. And then we have some wonderful experiences, because we may want to talk about Wabash in particular. But I remember right this one, Thorn Street, North Thorn Street, somewhere across the tracks, down up the road there a little ways, there was a Civil War soldier named Higgins, and we used to go up there to house and pick up apples. Now, he didn't mind that, but his daughter was, we called her Tishy Higgins, and she just didn't want us around that place at all. She'd ordered us out. Of course, we left, but I always remember him because he's an old fellow and kind-hearted and loved kids, loved us kids, so it was very good. And then there also, I do remember seeing me like a Marine Chronicle one time, and had a newspaper article about when Mr. Higgins became 100 years old, from then on until his death, probably at 105, on his birthday. People there were taking an airplane ride over the city of Wabash. Now, I still don't know whether this here tape recorder is working all right. It seemed like it's awful slow on the pooch, but nevertheless, there we go. It's still working, apparently. Taking off something, but I don't know how it was working all right or not. Then we'll go back there and think about Wabash, right across the railroad track from our aunt's, was where Terrell and Dawes Jacobs lived. And they had a sister too, but I never knew her. But it seems as though that those two boys were just about the same predicament that we were. Because my mom died here in Hartford City, and then the Jacobs boys, mom died too, and left the dad to care for them and their sister. But Terrell and Dawes, I like to think about those boys because I think Terrell became an animal trainer in the circus, and Dawes was actually killed in Detroit, gone down some alley where there was some woman, some kind. Then Dawes was killed in Detroit. But I remember those two boys because of the fact that they used to like to raise rabbits and goats, and I don't know what, they loved life. I know another time when they lived in particular another place down the hill, and they had what they call a slide for life. They had that rope run from some shed down across the road and tied to a tree, and it had a pulley on there. I know when Claude, that's my twin brother, he was hanging on there with one hand and holding the American flag in the other, and he was going down that hill, and the neighbors got pretty worried about all of us kids, and thought we would get hurt, and of course we could have. They had the police down there and ordered it stopped, so we had to stop that slide for life business. That was with Terrell and Dawes Jacobs. There's also there, by my aunt's, of course I told you Wabash Railroad went by, but there used to be a watchman shanty. I was up on some metalwork, some kind up above the tracks, and that old gentleman, I said old. You know, when a person, his child is young, you look up, maybe you think of a man 35, 40 years old is old. But here I am, 73 now, and I don't feel that way. Well, people either now. But anyway, this here watchman there would let us, Claude and I, climb the ladder and go up there and visit with him. Now, that's probably against the regulations, but nevertheless, we did that. He let us do it, so it was perfectly all right with him. And there's another thing right along there, for instance. One day, and Claude wanted to hop a freight train. It's a freight train had stopped along there, so he got on the side of it and started up. And I had to run up there right quick and put my arms around and pull him away from that boxcar. No telling where he went, and probably he was headed towards Peru, but he could have been killed too, hurt badly from that, and just hanging on. So anyway, I got him off. Sometimes he may not remember that, but I do. I took that twin brother of mine off from there, side of that boxcar. We used to climb over the top of roofs of houses down there, even in Wabash. Oh my, I expect no doubt. Oh yes, I must tell you this. Talking about roofs, I'll tell you this. That one day there was a Terrell and Dawes Jacobs, one Claude and I, play one afternoon. Now, our aunt's made us take a nap every afternoon, because that kind of, we didn't like that idea, but nevertheless it was good for us. But those boys put up a ladder over the back roof of the kitchen, and we climbed out of the upstairs window over that roof and down that ladder and went off. And of course there was one boy nearby there that he had some deficiency in his talking or something, or retarded or something, but I never did understand. But we always called him Beanix. But anyway, Beanix howled and yelled, and they tried to stop us and get Aunt Grace after us, but we jumped in a grocery wagon and went to another part of town. But before you got very far though, Beanix took a rock and hit Claude right in the back with a big old rock. So that wasn't so nice either. But then we didn't have any right to neglect that boy, because he probably wanted his attention same as we did. That was wrong. Very wrong for people to neglect others. There another time there at Wabash, Aunt Grace and them were getting some new bathroom fixtures, and man, I think his name is Earl Amos. He was doing some plumbing work there, and I took some of his pipe fittings, put them together, made a cannon. Of course, it didn't work, but then I had something to play with. But then, of course, he couldn't give them to me, too essential for his work. But oh, I wanted those things so bad. But of course, I never got them, but just as well. And I think Earl Amos had some. He must have been a young plumber, but he had some kind of a four-wheeled affair automobile he made, put himself together, and had a fifth wheel on the back. It had a little motor, a little gasoline engine on it. When he wanted to go somewhere, he'd drop that fifth wheel against the street and the friction there, and made it push it forward. I wanted to ride on that too, but never got to. We've had some nice times around Wabash. Even down the park, we'd go down the park there, and they used to have stock was there. One day when I was out there, my sister Nellie introduced me to an old Negro lady. Don't you know that my grandma Beeson died, and this Negro, when my dad was a little boy, and this old Negro lady helped take care of my dad when he was a child. It makes me go to think that we ought to appreciate other people regardless of race, creed, or color. And I did meet that old lady, helped take care of my dad when he was a boy. So that's the way life goes. That's some experiences in Wabash. Now, of course, we live here in Hartford City now. I see in this here article here by Miss Marion Chronicle, speaks about the Honeywells. I remember the time when that Honeywell building was being made over there. Some of the very bricks from that Honeywell building come from Hartford City here, from the old American window glass factory, and it was shut down and tore down, and the Honeywell Corporation, they had hauled bricks from Hartford City with a truckload all over there to help make that one building out there. Of course, I never get to go to Wabash anymore anyway, so I don't know just what you call it. I was at Wabash when that Lincoln Memorial was dedicated. Oh my, I forget just what date it was, but evidently it had to be about 1935 or 36, somewhere along there. And it looks like there's thousands of people around there, and I had the V8 Ford at that time. So I went on down to Man's house, parked down in front of the house, and turned on the radio and heard the program of dedication. I think it came by the way of WOWO Fort Wayne too, but I got to hear it even though I didn't get to see it. But there's so many thousands of people, and there seemed to me like there's thousands there at that time anyway, and I think it's a good thing that Boy Scouts go there to honor Abraham Lincoln. For my estimation, Abraham Lincoln is one of the best presidents we've ever had. Some of them couldn't even hold a candle. Some of our presidents we've had in the last few years couldn't even begin to hold a candle up to Abraham Lincoln, as far as I am personally concerned. So, I don't know. My dad, when he was a boy, a young person lived in Wabash, he helped make that big fur cut out there for the, I don't know what part of town it is, the big fur railroad goes through there anyway. Also in the south of Wabash, where in 1315 goes, my dad, when he was a young person, helped blast that out to make that incline, which is now the bed of State Road 1315. Of course, we wasn't in Wabash too long. I do remember the flood of 1913 of Wabash. I know my dad took Claude and I over there, and then we went there over to Peru too, and we got to see the flood waters of Peru. If I remember rightly, it seems as though there was at least 2 little paper boys drowned in that Wabash River around Peru, and you see the divers and the boats going up and down the river there and trying to find the bodies of those 2 little paper boys. It seemed like one of them was found on down the river somewhere where some creek entered the Wabash, and the body washed up there, and it seems, if I remember correctly, part of the body was eaten by turtles. I love my family. I love my people. My mother's name was Jennie Jenks, and her dad, of course, was Samuel Jenks, and her mother was a Sherwood, like I said before on this. So they were wonderful people. They're all gone now. Grace, Daisy, and Emma Jenks. They never married. They were interested in all of us children. See, out of Dad's children, there was 6 of us lived, and the 3 children died, And when my mom died on January 29th, 1912, she died because of a drunken doctor, and she was having given birth to a baby then, and he decapitated the baby, and so my mother died. But Mom was taken to Wabash and buried. So I made 10 children. Dad had 6 living. Now, my twin brother Claude and I, there are only 2 left anymore. We were the youngest. Only God knows when this will be, too. But then anyway, I'm ready to go, so it's all right with me. Whatever God says, when He says it's enough, it suits me just fine and dandy. Now, if this man over Wabash would like to, I'd like to have him tell me something sometime about people named Lander and Jenks, Sherwood, Petty, and Hetmansburgers, and East Wander, and Camels, and all of those are related to Dad's or Mom's people, one way or the other, some way. I see in this you have the Service Motor Truck Company too. You know, I have one of those bonds. I found it in the empty house here in Hartford. Chamber of Commerce was there wanting to give it to him one time, but I just sent him a Xerox copy. So I'm going to keep that. Anyway, I'd like to hear from you. Mr. Dingledy, I may not pronounce your name right, but anyway, that's just about the way I do it. So if you want to do this sometime, I enjoy all these things. Local history and family history is one thing I'm proud of. I'm proud of the fact that I am a member of the Sons of the American Revolution, and one of them on 6 different lines. And one of them, of course, is by Mother's people, Higgins and Sherwood. Another, of course, by the name of Beeson. We are descendants of Isaac Beeson, who was a Quaker, but he did serve his country by furnishing food for the army. After all, an army must travel. There's always quoted the saying, travel on its stomach, have to eat. But if you want to write to me or sometime, Mr. Dingledy, I would appreciate it very much. Now, if you want to know my address, Post Office Box 1, Hartford City, Indiana, 47348. Of course, I told you before, my name is Cecil Beeson. But I think this will be enough for this time, and maybe someday we'll get together on some local history. I would appreciate this very much. Thank you. Good night.